Hi, Harry Dent here. You know, there were clues to the last global financial crisis. The first one, obviously, was our demographic indicators that predicted 20 years ago that the baby boom in major countries like the United States would peak around 2007 and start to slow in spending. And with the greatest debt bubble and financial asset bubble in history, that was a useful trigger and something we could see coming in advance. But even more specifically, there was another subtle clue. Real estate prices, which peak earlier in the consumer life cycle, real estate prices in the United States started to decline in early 2006, almost 2 years ahead of the big crash. And it was the United States subprime crisis in lending and in housing that triggered the last global financial crisis. Now, how could this happen? Obviously, 4 states, and it was California, Nevada, Arizona, and Florida, just 4 out of 50 states in the United States. How could that trigger a global crisis? The reason was demographics were starting to slow after 3 decades of booming for the first time in a long time, and debt levels had gotten to twice compared to GDP what they were in the roaring 20s before we had the last bubble burst in the 1930s. But again, real estate declining 2 years in advance. Now, what's the clues to the next global financial crisis? Well, it's not going to be real estate in the United States. That bubble's already burst. What it's going to be is commodities. Commodity prices first peaked in mid-2008, had a rally, and then peaked for a second time in September 2011 and have been declining ever since. Guess what? Emerging countries have been declining and underperforming world stock markets. And guess what? Commodity prices affect Australia because you're a major commodity and resource exporter. So it's this vicious cycle of commodities slowing. That hurts emerging market exports. That hurts China's exports, and China is the biggest bubble in the world, as we'll cover. So I'm going to show at the Secure the Future conference in February how you can profit for this and why Australia will not sail to the next global financial crisis like you did in the past, and again, how you can prepare and profit.